Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology update for February 17th through 24th, 2025. Well, we are coming to such an interesting place astrologically. We have been having square after square of intense tension transits for so long, months and months. And we're coming to this interesting kind of pause, which really fits the message that we got that February was this turning on a dime, and that we're like literally coming into alignment with a whole new direction. Because we have some long-standing astrology that's happening right now, and some squares, some we'll talk through, but it's a totally different energy than what we've been feeling. And again, the message is coming through the astrology of like aligning up, a kind of like coming into formation. And this seems to be the message for us supernova souls. The matrix and the technological attack that we've been under is designed to scramble, and have a chaotic field. In order for our intentions and our manifestations to happen, we need a coherent field. And how much time and energy have you been spending, supernova soul, to try to maintain a coherent field in your surroundings? It's exhausting. And yet, you coming back to your true north, okay? This is the energy. It's like, it's kind of like the magnetism disruption around us is forcing us to find our own magnetism, be our own universe. And everything is speaking to this, that in order to move forward, we must be autonomous as sovereign beings, because we've been leaking out our energy unknowingly to forces that do not have the best interest of humanity at heart, far from it. The energies that maintain the lower matrix, we've been feeding it through our own, just not even realizing, And so much about this time is about taking back our power, realizing it, we've been giving it away, realizing that it's a precious, powerful commodity that's in abundance if we can learn to contain it. And this is one of the energies that's really coming through right now. A message from the mother, like source gave that energy to you only. That was bestowed upon you. It is not to be leaked out. And so that's part of the time that we're living in, is figuring out where we've been giving our energy away and learning to take it back and come back into autonomy. Now, so much of that issue is reflected in Chiron in Aries. Chiron is now direct, and this week has moved to 20 degrees Aries. It turned direct at 19. So it's like, again, turning in a new direction around our wounds of where we've been giving our power and our life force away. And so that means we must take it back, doesn't it? So this is one of the long-standing transits that we're feeling right now is Mars in square to Chiron. So Mars came into square to Chiron for the first time in October of 2024. So you think back to that's when this whole chapter started, And so now the second time that Mars came back into square with Chiron was at the beginning of February, and we're still feeling this. And the thing is like, because Mars is stationary now, coming to 17 degrees. Yes, Mars has made it to 17 degrees, stationary, waiting to turn direct on the 24th of February. So we're in this strange little portal here, this week of 0 point, where Mars the warrior has found his way back to the mother's arms, climbing his way back into that connection. And now he needs to rest there at 0 point before moving again in a new direction. And it'll take a little bit before he gets moving again. It looks like he won't make it to 18 degrees until March 9th. So here we are. That's Mars just working it out at 17 degrees Cancer. It's so huge. because 17 is 1 and 7 in numerology. That's 8, it's transformation. And we're talking about transformation of the mother with the mother energy. It's transformation of our masculine from the mother energy. Like, yes, you found your way into her arms. Now receive what's offered. Okay. So much about every issue we're dealing with right now on every level of our human evolution has to do with whether or not we feel worthy enough to receive the abundance of what we are. And this is the lesson of Uranus and Taurus. So that was the deal with this last full moon in Leo, is that the sun and Mercury were square through and the moon in square to Uranus. And so we're really getting pushed to face the limitations that we've put on ourselves and have been put upon us around our own access to our own technology and our own body, Uranus and Taurus, and it's time to embody it. Ironically, we take back the technology by embodying it, by activating, by turning our light on. Let's go. It's time. We've been given the green light to turn on the light. And so that third square with Chiron, just going back to the Mars Chiron, try to finish the thought here. Mars square Chiron, the third square of that is going to be in March 24th through 30th, the third week or the last week in March there. And so that's after Mars turns direct. And so this whole time, all the way through that transit and in through the first week of April, we're going to be feeling Mars square Chiron, And so we're talking about breaking free from the limitations of accessing our own higher power and embodying it and taking back our life force from where we gave it away, because that wounded warrior that's now in alignment with the mother needs all his access to all of his life force. He doesn't want to fight any more petty wars, So this analogy is really helpful right now for what we're dealing with, this battle that we're dealing with, the Mars and retrograde and the weary warrior, the wounded and weary warrior. And so, there is this healing time required, but it's about our masculine coming back into the arms of the Divine Mother, which is this abundance, and standing and fighting and believing in her love again, falling back in love with her. I saw this vision of ultimately, if we're talking about taking back our power and we're taking back then we have to talk about taking back our technology in our own body, which is reflected in it's really in our energy field, but our pineal gland, our pituitary gland, and our higher centers, higher faculties. Now, so we're a lot of focus on the pineal gland, right? Because this is our imaginal gland, right? And this is the thing. It's if you say we are powerful co-creators, but how can you co-create anything if you can't imagine anything? So your imagination is so powerful right now, and that has to do with the activation of Neptune in the North Node. So we'll talk about that. But so the pineal gland is, the picture that I've seen is that it's been surrounded by an army of dark forces, right? It's kind of this infiltration energy. So the outside stuff they were doing to us wasn't working to try to keep the ascension from happening. And so they had to infiltrate our bodies. And so these energies are negative thinking, but it's literally technological garbage and toxicity and heavy metals and fluoride and all of it, right? Designed specifically to keep us from this imaginatory, they want us to think it's imaginatory organ, And it's a key to receiving information and being able to project out our intentions. And so the pineal gland, when it's healthy and it's operating, you should see light and color when you close your eyes. Most of us see darkness because all the toxicity and the nanotech is designed to self-replicate and find certain places. And that's this brainstem area, the trauma centers of the brain. So we've got this parasitic force in there, continuing to trigger our trauma centers, and that's where it's Mom said, hey, The shrapnel's going to be there for a minute. Like, we have a big mess to clean up. We're still under the rubble from Atlantean time till we get our true history. You know, it's going to take some time. She said, go through the rubble, though. Just go through it to the center. And that's where the sacred flame, the pineal gland, when it's activated, has a light of its own. And so, but anyway, the energy of the pineal gland in this light, but the nanotechnology poisoning in our body, the end stage pathology is a feeling of deep and profound disconnection. And isn't the mother about connection? She is our remedy back home. The mother energy takes us back home. Okay. So we're actually bringing them home to her, she says. It's quite a task, isn't it? Come on. Can we get some backup around here? But when this pineal gland, so when there's this negative thinking and distraction and impulses coming in that are not our own impulses, it's like this big clouded garbage, this brain fog. We all know this feeling. And so, but the energy of the pineal gland non-functioning state these days, from the technology and the poisoning in our brains, the heavy metals, looks like a black hole. And it's interesting because that's like that dark mother archetype that they wanted to leave us with the reptilian mother. And the black hole is a feeling of being unloved. It's just as simple as that. The whole problem with everything in our whole reality is a feeling of being unloved. And when you, as a supernova soul, has clawed your way back somehow to the mother's arms, with going to hell and back, and you found yourself that wounded warrior on the battlefield, and you came back and you said, okay, something's got me. What if I connect to that? What if that something that's got me can be fortified by my attention, my love, my consciousness, but what if you don't think you deserve it? Because this is what we've been told. The mother wants to hurt us, right? That's what the programming of this catastrophe model of the simulation. I don't know. Anyway, we're finding our way out, and that's what the astrology says. It's a new start, it's a new timeline, new direction, and this is what's lining up in this crazy pause right now. It seems really, really important for that wounded warrior masculine in us to get over the shame, okay? Because the wounded warrior masculine, say, is the one on the battlefield that just lost the battle, or even if they won the battle and all the death and destruction, and realized they were trying to fight for the motherland, and they forgot the mother. And now the blood has been spilled. And so it's this coming home to like, oh, what the heck are we doing here? And aligning. Okay, so this is where we're talking about the magnetism. We have to create it in our own bodies. This is what all the metals and technologies in our body and the frequencies outside our bodies are trying to mess with our true north. Your connection to your soul. They want you so scrambled that you jump out of your body and they can take it over and abduct your soul. But that's not happening to you, supernova, because you've been howling back and you're still right here with me, aren't you? Thank God. And thank God for all the strength and the work. Now is when we own this strength as the abundance. So we had to go through that in order to feel worthy. So the wounded warrior says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Mom, that first I couldn't save the earth from from those that wanted to destroy it. I couldn't stop the harm from happening. I couldn't keep the people from being persecuted. And I failed you, Mother. And to kind of get that out, to cry, the grief, the shame, and then her arms and the wings only get stronger and warmer, and more oxygen and more support and levity and joy. And now we go forward from here. Okay, we're going to leave the battle. Blood was going to be cleaned up. All that was stolen is going to be returned sevenfold. What was been sown will be reaped. And that's the place that we're at. I mean, that's what this Mars retrograde is saying, because we also have on the 15th, Saturn made it out of retrograde shadow. Okay, so we got the message that the Saturn moving into new territory, and Saturn will make it to 20 degrees, which is like new territory, right? Because 19 is where it turned retrograde on the 24th, the same day that Mars goes direct. Okay, all of this is saying we are aligning, and aligning means a change of direction. And which way are you going to go? Right? To the fake fluff and the safe lies? Or are you going to face the truth? Are you going to stomach it? Are you going to keep breathing? Are you going to keep loving? Are you going to shed that shit and align with the true north and get back on? You see how far we've gotten off our timeline? Okay, because when I first started, I didn't know about timeline stuff. I was like, that's just woo-woo shit out there, right? But then it started around the time that I started getting these downloads about supernova souls in 2015. You know, and I was like, every reading I did, I got like a little bit more information, the story unfolding. And so this energy, I was kind of like, what is this timeline stuff? I don't believe it. Like, what does that even mean? You know? And then it was clarified in these sessions that a timeline is a vibrational frequency. And so you do timeline alignment by going to find a past life where you were resonant with that frequency and claiming it back. And the timeline correction that's happening right now, which must correct. See, this is where we're at. It must correct. Or we're done, right? So that correction is back to pre-Atlantean. Okay. And what we were doing before the Atlantean catastrophes was we were supernova souls. Overwhelmingly, the timeline reset at the pre-Atlantean catastrophe was feeling like you're at the right place at the right time, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing with just the right people on the cutting edge of amazing discoveries that can help humanity with all of the systems of government or society or finance behind you. So that's a far cry from where we've been. You know, most of us just kind of like hiding out, trying to get through the storm, right? We are the storm. Oh, so let's look at the timeline for this, because now we have absolute confirmation that this Mars retrograde is an initiation, because you can't take a leap in that level, like a timeline. We're just going to crash back together with our original timeline. Like what, so this is what this time is about. The next 2-3 months are about adjusting to this new timeline alignment. That's the Mercury retrograde and the Venus retrograde. I was kind of feeling like overwhelmed with those retrogrades, especially coming on the heels of the Mars retrograde. But now it makes total sense, because we need these adjustments, because it's like the slingshot has been pulled back with this Mars retrograde. And if we just shoot off in whatever direction, and that has to do with this next couple of months, a lot about expressing what's been suppressed within us, like finally being able to talk, truths coming out, like finally being able to talk like a reasonable human being to other people without having to, about what's really going on, and disclose who we are more clearly. And in our energy, we don't even have to say anything, but that level of truth of the Gemini direct, Jupiter direct and Gemini, that's the energy. So a big part of the adjustment into the new timeline is through expression of what's been hidden within us. So that's, again, the Uranus and Taurus coming back to the worthiness for the higher technologies, worthiness for embodiment of the truth of who we are. And that's become one of the original tenets of the supernova story, is that we're not fully who we are. We could only be like a placeholder in this incarnation. And there's a bigger, way bigger part of ourselves that couldn't incarnate fully for various reasons, like early childhood trauma, past life trauma, soul abduction, whatever this we're dealing with here. And now we're getting all parts of ourselves back home, however it got lost. That's the magnetism. The magnet. So by saying, well, that world is disordered out there, but it doesn't matter because mom told me I'm a part of source and I have my own magnetism, especially when I'm with her. It's fortified and powerful. And I can walk in this field of coherence. Now, what happens in coherence is that the poles all point the same way. And this is the collective consciousness coming on board. So first we have to do it in our own body, our own field, to get fully aligned with that true north of our own soul, which is also the mother's dream, right? The original plan of what this earth wants to become. And we get so in line with that, and we just bring the collective with us. So right now it's about focusing your passion, your purpose, every moment, every day. You don't have to know what it is. It's energy, right? So remember, the timeline alignment is a frequency vibration. So it's what it feels like. So what does it feel like? Can you even imagine? Feeling like you're at the right place at the right time, with just the right amazing team. And that's the thing about the teams, going back to this concept, right? These teams that you were working with in Atlantean time, they were all on board, okay? There was no of this fractioning, infiltration, like every single spiritual impulse of our times has been infiltrated and attacked from the inside. Every single one, And when we were doing that in the pre-Atlantean catastrophes, our team was so excited and so on board and so knowing that it was so all good in alignment with Mother, right? Or humanity. All good. Technology, all good. And so excited. Everybody was on the team. There was no factioning. It's like maybe maybe we could try this way, or we could, but as far as the vision, everybody's on board. And that's what we're going to. That's your team. We've been fighting against demons, that have infiltrated people for long enough. It's our world. And we start to claim that through our body. So we want to continue to be really conscious about detoxing right now because it's naturally occurring. Mars rules the physical body. And as Mars turns direct, the mud's going to flow, right? Or fly, or who knows what's going to happen. But it's about bringing movement back to places where they have been stuck. So Mars retrograde can really stick a lot of physical suppression in the body, and that would bring forward symptoms. So just be gentle. Self-care, so important. So the astrology that's coming up, I was telling you about how we've got these long-standing transits going on, that Mars square Chiron, Neptune conjunct the North Node, and Mars is also in trine to Saturn. And so these are happening all the way through this next month or two. And so that's kind of our backdrop energy. But the thing is like we've had constant intense squares, and it kind of all centered around this Saturn square Jupiter that happened in December. And so that Mercury retrograde was triggering, the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius was triggering that square. Okay. Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius was November, December, and it was about, in Sag, it's about the quest, the journey. What's the expanse? What's the horizon? What are we learning? What's the bigger picture? Okay. And so it's really for supernova souls about getting back on the quest of the Holy Grail, why we're here in this whole evolution, right? And that's also our true north, our poles pointing in the correct way, It's not like right and wrong and good and evil. It's just correct. It's a sin wave. The sin wave's resonant. It's not resonant, right? So we need to get resonant. And so that's really powerful that all of this is happening to show us that we are moving in this new direction. So the Mars in square to Saturn is very powerful because, like we said, Mars is stationary. So this whole time he's stationary, he's going to be trine Saturn in Pisces. Saturn now moving into new territory in Pisces, that we got the message was the new Christ consciousness timeline, like claiming back the mysteries and miracles that were stolen from us in the Piscean age. Okay. So that's happening. And then Mars is lingering there, and they stay together in trine. They were exactly in trine on February 7th through 11th, and they'll come back into exact trine in April. But they'll basically will feel this trine from now, or from the end of January all the way through most of April. So that's the other long standing. So Neptune North Node, dreaming a new dream. The end degrees of Pisces. So powerful. And then we've got Mars square Chiron is breaking free from the chains that bind us, coming back home to the mother, remembering what we fight for. It's not what we fight for really, because we're not fighting anymore. It's what we live for. On accessing that creation energy, taking it back, celebrating it, building it, growing it. It's the new Renaissance. And so Mars in that trine to Saturn is saying that the new timeline must involve the mother energy, right? Because we've got to come back to feeling loved to activate our pineal gland, And unfortunately, this world, these people, like the manifest world, that's not what makes supernova souls feel loved. It's spiritual love. We've always been looking for that and wanting to hold on to that. And that's who you are and what you've been. When everything's worked against you and you've been holding that spiritual torch, not giving up on the dream and the vision and the truth, there's way more to this story. Thank God. And I know there were so many times where you're like, how can I be all alone in this? How can it be true? Isn't that what they wanted? So isn't it now time to come back together in this power? So the Mars trine Saturn is saying that now that Mars is informed and come back home to the mother's arms, now we can move forward. Now that the masculine had to be on board to bring home this divine masculine, he's falling back in love with the creator's energy, the creation energy. He understands his role, in nurturing the fountain of creation energy, which can come through the feminine, can come through the masculine, but feminine body, physical body, has more direct access to creation energy. And we're talking about the mother's body as is kind of like a feminine body, and we're a part of her. So when we're talking about getting in touch with our feminine, we're talking about getting in touch with the mother. It doesn't have anything to do with men and women. But kind of, because our bodies are different, and that's what makes us so special. That unique archetype of masculine and feminine, that's how we come back to oneness. It's so, so important. And so this understanding of the masculine, the true role of the masculine, like on fire for service in the juicy expression of the fountain of creation energy, not trying to hoard and own it and control it. That was the patriarchal way. Like, let's stop the fountain and we'll take what we want and nobody else gets anything, And the feminine has been very poorly treated, because a good way to, just like us precious energy sources, we've been abused, a lot of supernova souls, because that's how you suck their energy. So our whole culture, we just live in a state of abuse. Or they just keep feeding off our energy. It's a bad relationship. And that's the Black Moon Lilith in Libra. And so very powerful. So the next thing that's coming up, or this week, we've got right now, the next couple of days, we're starting to feel Mercury. So coming back to the Mercury and Sag, like Mercury had done that retrograde in Sagittarius, getting us back on the quest for the Holy Grail, right? But in that retrograde, Mars made 3 squares to Saturn and Jupiter, that generational game-changing square of like the timeline's got to go in a new direction according to the voice that hasn't been spoken, which is the feminine. You know, I mean, literally free energy is feminine, perpetual motion, and the mysteries that have been hidden from us that give us our history back and our technology back are feminine mysteries. So there we go. And so Mercury is now in Pisces. So has made it through a quarter of the zodiac, which means coming back into the square. Mercury will square up with Jupiter on the 20th and 21st, and then conjunct with Saturn on the 25th and 26th. So now we're getting a new perspective on this generational square, because Mercury just passed over the sun for that full moon in Leo, squaring up with Uranus, saying, hey, who are we in the Aquarian age? How do we shine our light? We got to feel permission for our technology within us and embody it and know that we're worthy of our own abundance. We've only gone through hell because they want what we have. And so now we take it back, So it's an interesting energy because Mercury is moving pretty quick right now and is just kind of ding, ding, like coming into the square, just kind of reminding us the square is off. They're, Jupiter and Saturn are 8 degrees apart. So there's we're not really feeling that square, but Mercury is reminding us of what we're doing here. And according to Pisces. So Pisces, of course, we've been talking about that Saturn moving forward into new territory, the Christ consciousness timeline. So now Mercury is saying, hey, we're putting together the pieces that the quest is the Christ consciousness timeline. And it's who we are in the Aquarian age. And that means we're learning to, for the first time since Atlantean time, could this be true? To truly collaborate. That's what just came through. That was a download. We have not been able to truly collaborate since the pre-Atlantean catastrophes. And that's who we are. And that was that Mercury-Sun conjunction at 20 degrees Aquarius in square to Uranus and Taurus. So we got to take back the gold. It's ours. It's our wealth. Mom said. And so this is everything that the astrology is speaking about. So anyway, these Mercury squares are happening this week. We also have, that Mars square Chiron. It's not exact, but it's still kind of looming. But Mars is also square Saturn. And Neptune is conjunct the North Node. And so it's this thing of well, what? What it kind of feels like? It's is it really hard? How hard does it need to be? Can we just come back to mom and step into our abundance and get going on the next thing? Because a lot of us, our lives have been really hard, but what if it's all hard to know that we deserve it and own it and step into it and take it for ourselves? Because the stronger we get in our power, the more everyone around you wants it from you. And then you're in a battle until you fully own it. But it's hard to fully own it when there's shrapnel and trauma zone and everything keeping you from that power. And so we go through the trauma, we go through the triggers, and we say, all right, burn me in the fires. Burn the personality of ego that's attached to any of this shit. Just bring it, but because we can see finally that there's something on the other side of these fires. And maybe that was that Mercury retrograde. And so now it's kind of okay, oh, really? It's really real? I was spending all day long trying to convince myself that it might be really real, and visualize and breathe and love and heal and breathe and love and heal. And you're saying it's actually happening and I got to get ready now? So that's where we're at. We're at 0 point. We're at the turning point. It's also, okay, so there's something about this correction and alignment with the north, with our true north. And that is what happened when I made that gesture. Is kind of a feeling of turning on a spigot, a big, turning on a water that has not been flowing, source of creation energy that's been stopped up is flowing again. This is the correction. So do you deserve it? Can you handle it? And what are you going to do with it? It's time to like kind of get some, we've had to just rest and heal and get through and survive. But now we need to discipline ourselves to align, and make our actions align. Get that will involved in claiming your life back through your schedule, through your drive, through your intensity. Like there's just something about this Mars turning direct that like you want to be in the chariot driving to make sure you're on the right path. Not that you know what it looks like, but you know what it feels like. And you're starting to know who you are, and nothing around you is validating this. You're the only one that can take you there. This is one of the hard ones, right? Because, we're learning to collaborate again. Beautiful. But you got to get there first. You got to pick yourself up and you got to get there, and you got to say, today I live for me. I'm taking my energy back. I'm going to do this. I'm going to engage my will. I'm going to follow through. I'm going to do it again tomorrow. Because we got that message that the strongest influence, stronger than any astrology influence, let's just say stronger than the AI, stronger than the propaganda, stronger than the mind control, the human will. And we must execute it. We must take it. We must say yes. But supernova souls can't do that until you know you're aligned with the mother, or you will never do it. Because we were a part of the Atlantean catastrophes, framed to think it was our fault. So we never collaborate again. We never go to the right place at the right time again. We never work with our great team again. We never go anywhere near our power because it's just a pile of rubble. Trauma, right? And so the trauma is designed to keep us from accessing our power. And yet what really keeps us is that simple concept that we don't feel loved. And so this is where we have to say you cannot get that kind of love from like your family, like people around you. That's not the love you're looking for. It's never going to fill your cup. So we have to go back to mother and fill that cup. And that was so much about what that Leo full moon activation was about. So go back and get that replay if you want to fill your cup. About containing, filling the cup, letting it be this golden, such a beautiful healing of Christ consciousness, and the beautiful vision of being that holy grail, that cup that is not leaking it out, but so full that it can splash out to whoever might need it around you. But it's really none of your concern how that plays out. That's her job. The mother's got them. The mother's got you. You can never help anyone until you come home to her. And that's what we're being forced to do right now. Take your time as a wounded warrior. You've been there long enough. How about you rest in the arms of the mother now? So it's really weird because we've got all this stuff happening on the 24th. As far as Mars is direct, Saturn is going to 20 degrees of Pisces. So it's like coming back into taking back our collaboration because we just got that message, right? Of miracles. And then the other thing that's happening is that we start to feel the energy of Saturn coming into sextile with Uranus. Okay, so this is really beautiful energy. Because think about these retrogrades with Mercury and Venus. They're going over the Aries point 3 times. They're connecting with the North Node 3 times. They're opposing or sextiling Pluto 3 times. And so we got that those Mercury and Venus retrogrades are about helping us to rearrange, to get ready to move forward on this new, just like this new timeline. And so that's kind of the energy of that readjustment and realignment. And so Saturn in sextile to Uranus with all this other stuff going on, right? And we talked about Saturn now moving in this way, new alignment, new time, Christ consciousness timeline. We're coming into that alignment. So this sextile with Uranus is very powerful, and it will be exact in Taurus, right? So we're talking about these things. Now, this is really powerful too, because the sextile that happened that was very magical, between Saturn and Jupiter happened in Pisces and Taurus. And that's where this sextile is happening again. And so Saturn in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus is this very beautiful activation of the higher power that's within us, an absolute and complete permission in a peaceful and harmonious way to come into who we really are. This is an invitation to rest and feel safe in the higher vibrational frequencies. Stop running, stop hiding, stop fighting, and just radiate your magnificent and beautiful vibration. And so that is exact from March 28th to April 13th. And we'll be feeling it all the way through the end of May. And so again, it's that new direction for a timeline harmonized with embodiment of the higher frequencies. It's spiritual ascension. It's just right there written in the stars. So that says that this alignment to the new and taking back our higher frequency and higher power, the activation, the higher frequency bump, that we've been waiting for, we know is coming, because at some point it's like the 100th monkey, right? We're going to push over a certain frequency. And the timing of that would probably be during the sextile, which is from the 24th of February. The overarching energy of it is from the 24th of February to the end of May. So the end of February to the end of May, there we've got our timeline of the next chapter. And it's about harmoniously and peacefully stepping up, taking back our power, putting on our robe of light, and moving forward with the Christ consciousness timeline and the work that we came here to do. Claiming back joy, so important. And that really came through in Leo full moon activation as well. So this week we've got just this Mercury triggering the square, kind of like, okay, what is this fundamental generational shift and change we're in, according to Pisces and Saturn and the placement. And so what does this new direction of Christ consciousness mean? Some realizations coming through our lives of direction forward. The old Saturn is, Saturn, basically Saturn's getting a remodel, a makeover. Saturn was like absconded and physical reality was used to control humanity. So that Saturn energy is the obstruction energy that's been working against your true path. But Saturn represents your true Dharma path. And so it's an activation of our true Dharma path according to Christ consciousness, Mercury helping us understand what's our part in this quest for the Holy Grail. And is it really time? And how do we get back on track with that? And that Mars trine Saturn harmonized in a new direction. Neptune conjunct North Node, dreaming a new dream. Do you see how it's all lining up for us? So we have this square, Mercury squares, this for kind of this week and next week, but they're kind of just a hint. And we have a little break of, then the sun is going to come into these squares actually in the March. The sun will square Jupiter on March 3rd and come up to a conjunction with Saturn on March 13th. So those will continue, these little triggers of this square, but the overarching intensity of the squares that we've been dealing with in the background and the constant tension, that is lessening, it's lighting. We have a little pause, which is exactly the read of this turning, that this is where we do the, it's like it's and then we gotta, because it's a 90-degree turn. That's what it was like written in the Edgar Cayce readings. It came through in the shape of the pyramid. Of course, we know there's so much mysteries around the pyramids, and they're all over the place. But the shape, there's the tunnel through the pyramid represents a 90-degree turn or the path of ascension. Okay, so we're at that place where the tunnel changes direction in the pyramid. So I don't know, somebody maybe can clarify what that means, but it's so fun to work with you, Supernova Souls. Isn't it beautiful as we make these pathways to come back together in our consciousness and in person and get together at these sacred locations and bring our energy together the way Mom wants us to celebrate, dance, sing, share, and bring forward with each other all these gifts that we have. It's beautiful times are coming. And here we go. The astrology is confirming it. So again, the message is so clear that the new timeline is there. It's coming. It's floating in, but we have to rise to it. And I guess there's an energy of saying yes to the healing, saying yes to the process, saying yes to whatever's happening in whatever moment, whatever excruciating, painful thing you're going through right now, because it's not about that. It's about freeing yourself fully and completely, you know? And so we got to step back and be an observer in our situation in life and being like, okay, I'm being brought everything I need right now to completely free myself for good this time. Not free myself enough to get back into another cage, right? Because we know the doors are opening, the gates are opening, the energies are shifting, the control forces, it's falling away, the matrix is destructing. Now we move. That's us. We're the first line. We're on the cutting edge. We're the ones who lead the way and show what's happening. And so it is our time coming up here after the retrograde season. So that's, the retrograde season resolves in end of April, May, really, it's going to take some time. And then in June, we have that final square of Saturn and Jupiter. Okay. So we're kind of like, that's when we're like, okay, now it's a new chapter. And we're coming up on eclipse season. Saturday, February 29th is going to be an Aries new moon solar eclipse. And then a Virgo full moon lunar eclipse on Friday, March 14th. So these are our first eclipses happening in where the nodes have shifted signs. And the Aries new moon is happening still in the old signs, right? So it's a shift over of where the nodes were and where the nodes are going to be coming up. So that's what this eclipse season is about, going from the energy of North Node Aries, owning our sovereignty and freedom and I am and potential and energy, and then South Node Libra, freeing ourselves from karmic relationships. Now, North Node Pisces, moving into the new dream of the Christ consciousness and what might need to happen of that to free ourselves from the past. And South Node Virgo, we're going to clean it up, clean up the earth. It's purge. And so that's a very powerful energy right at this turning point to have this eclipse season that's like talking to both of these energies. So look out for that Aries new moon solar eclipse on the February 29th. So everything is saying that it's a new direction forward. This is our alignment. And so our day-to-day, moment-to-moment prayer, meditation is about this alignment. And if you can feel that mother energy, if you can feel her hold you, and that's a lot of what wants to happen in these activations, these guided meditations. It's like she'll say, palpably feel me. No, I'm with you. This mother energy, it's a field. It's the earth. You could think of it as the blanket of Mother Earth. It's invisible, but it's more real, just like our energy body. Our energy body and aura is more real than our physical body. We just can't see it. And she has a field too. And that field can literally envelop us. It can also dematerialize and rematerialize into whatever we need. And that's what's actually being forced to happen in our body to survive, is to find that magnetism within. We can take the raw materials around us, and bring the order. But the order is the polarity, is a pointing in the correct direction. And the mother is that, right? It's right and good and true. It's where we came from and where we'll go back to. And she loves us so much. And she's so powerful and regenerative and magic. And she just wants us to be her children again and connect with her and celebrate with her in mutual reciprocity, like it always was done, by every indigenous culture. It's just not rocket science. And so you're on that team, So, very powerful times coming ahead, and we will have this alignment of Mercury, or we'll have this energy of the Mercury retrograde and the Venus retrograde, both at the end of Pisces into Aries, back into Pisces, which will give them 3 conjunctions with the North Node, 3 conjunctions with Neptune, 3 sextiles with Pluto. And so a very powerful energy of rebirth going into the end of the zodiac, back to the beginning, back to end, back to the beginning. Mercury, Venus, understanding the role of the feminine in the new timeline. The rebirth of Earth has to come through the mother's womb. We're the midwives. Male or female body, right? And so thank you so much for being here and doing it. May it get easier and more fulfilling. May you have joy, peace, and happiness, and feel that you deserve the good things that are coming to you. This is an opportunity to just completely empty out. Let the tide go completely out and make room for the abundance that's coming. And claim it for yourself day to day, moment to moment, in that peace of mind that you give yourself. Because when we're being told that we need to stay and come and be and breathe in alignment, then when you're in alignment, you're at peace. So you could say that. And we're claiming this peace. And it's ironic because claiming our peace is also claiming our energy field, right? Saying, this is how my cells are going to vibrate today in coherence. May that overflow if it has a place to go. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to go battle the incoherence anymore. It's such a huge shift for us supernova souls, and I'm so proud of us. And thank you for everything and for your support. Thank you so much for being a part of the Supernova Soul Tribe. You'll never miss an activation, and a great way for us to stay connected. So, and also thank you for your donations. If you appreciate this ad-free space and want to support this energy, if it's helpful to you, I super appreciate that. Donation link is in the information box below. Get the replay of the Leo full moon activation. Look out for a soul group session for the eclipse, for both eclipses. That'll be super fun, a group intuitive session where we go deeper into who we are, supernova souls, get that information we need. And the clearings, the healings, the contract clearing, everything we need to know about where we're at and where we're going. So thank you so much for being here, being with me. And I'm so honored to do this work with you. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.